Hi, and Happy New Year 2023, and welcome to another episode of the Cakism Experience. So this is our very first episode for the new year, and we did the most amazing cake. We did a 3D 20-foot blooming, ascending, descending rose cake for Frank and Claudia. And we'll feature it on today's episode of the Cakism Experience. Stay tuned. Hi.
So, nice to meet you, Debbie.
Nice to meet you too.
So how long did it take you to make that cake?
Well, it basically started about 6 months ago. So the planner called me and said he had a client from the States who was getting married in Ghana, and she followed me on Instagram, and she knew I was the one she wanted to make her cake. She didn't have any idea of what she wanted, but she just knew that she wanted me to make her cake. So around the time he contacted me, I was quite busy, but he said she was comfortable waiting till I was ready, and I was actually quite surprised because most of the times clients are like, "Oh, I want to book you. Like, give me a price, give me a sketch, give me go."
So she was serious.
But she was so serious and she was so calm. Like, she was like, "Oh, whenever you're ready, like, just relax."
So she had the money. She had the money to do it.
So I asked him. I said, "Oh, so that's your?" I was like, "Is your client okay?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah. I mean, it's her dream wedding.
Wow.
So she wanted something very special."
Yeah.
So we talked. We had our consultation, and she said she didn't want to restrict me in any way, but she wanted a cake that will keep people talking for months.
Oh wow. Okay,
after
so
her wedding.
You had the idea of bringing the cake down.
I mean, that concept I had already done about, I think, 2 years prior for a bride I had in Kumasi, but I had never done that
Like that.
in Accra. So I usually don't repeat my design. So every single mechanism or every single sort of cake setup I do is a one-off. So I always try and vary it one way or the other. So the first time I did it in Kumasi, it was ascending and descending straight up.
Wow.
The second time I did it in Accra, it was descending, and then we built our first motorized cake table. So we built a cake table that we could move via remote control. So the cake table was hiding in a corner, and then we remote controlled it to the center, and the top tier came. So this time I was thinking about something else to do for the bride. Her name is Claudia. And she wanted, so initially I was going to do something completely different, completely different. And when I presented the first sort of sketch to her, she was like, she likes it, but she feels like she wants a second choice, an option. So I went back to the drawing board, and then I thought about a rose, which is a symbol for love. And I thought about how she and her husband had met, and it was like their love had bloomed. And she felt so in my conversations with her, I got this distinct impression that their love had sort of come full circle.
You are very creative.
So I thought about a blooming rose. And so I thought, okay, how do we get a cake into a rose? And get the cake to come out and the rose open as the cake came out.
Wow.
So basically, that was that side. And then she said she wanted a huge cake. And so I realized that I couldn't fit a full 7-tier cake into a rose.
Yeah.
So I had to split the cake.
Yes.
And so that's why I decided to let part of it descend, and then the other part come from the bottom.
Wow, the cake is beautiful.
Thank you.
Very, very nice. You can see that there's a lot of details to the cake.
Yeah.
It's like the fact that you thought of it in that way. That's very.
And creative. I think quite often for me, it's really about the couple.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why I stand by the belief that no two couples are the same. No two people have the same love story. And so if you focus on that, with every wedding and with every love story, there's a very distinct perspective that you can translate as an artist.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, in terms of the bride's personality, she's a very bubbly, happy person, but she also has this funky side, and she also likes to have fun.
Okay.
But one thing she said, she was like, she wants shock, like she wants jaw, like, and that's something that's so different from her personality.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of like at a contrast. So I said to myself, okay, so in terms of the cake, I said we'll do white. And she was cool with it. But at that time, I didn't know who was doing her gown.
Okay.
I thought it was Pistis. But we didn't, amazingly enough, usually that's one of the first conversations I have with a bride. I discuss their gown so that, because
you have an idea of what kind of,
in terms of like the design of the cake, because fashion is one of my biggest inspirations, particularly bridal fashion, and that's why I do a lot of beading. My signature style is edible beading, and so I hadn't spoken to her about her dress, and it was one of the things that so when it was getting close to the time I was actually designing her cake, I started to panic because I was like, I hadn't spoken to her about her dress, and I didn't want the cake design to be so different
to the dress.
Because it was like there was a lot of drama with the rose and up and down and all that. I wanted the cake itself to be something that was very, very stunning by itself.
Yes.
So there's this British designer, Alonoku. You know her?
No.
She's on Instagram, but she has this thing that she uses tulle and lace, and her detailing is very quaint, very there but not there.
Okay. So like
she's not very heavy-handed.
Okay.
But it's very elegant. Her dresses ooze timeless elegance.
Modest.
Very modest, but very modern as well.
Okay.
So it's a very clean silhouette. And so for some reason, I just stumbled on one of her gowns. At that time, I didn't know that was the gown the bride was going to wear. But that was the inspiration for the whole cake design.
Okay.
And it had like huge tulle bows all over with little white flower, white leaf details.
Okay.
And I was like, no, this is what I'm going to do. And when, like, on the wedding day, literally, I saw the bride walk down the aisle, I literally almost collapsed because it was as though I took her dress and put it on the cake.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God.
This is perfect.
Like, it was so meant to be. Like, I felt like it was something that was meant to be.
How many months or days did it take you?
I mean, so the beading took us 2 weeks.
Okay.
The beading of the cake was 7 tiers that we beaded. But in terms of research and development, we started in, I'd say, October.
Okay.
My technical, because we build our own mechanisms. We build every technical thing you see.
So even the flower?
Yeah.
Wow.
We source materials. I do everything.
Wow.
So I sat down with my engineers, and that was one of the most difficult parts, coming up with a mechanism, because it's a custom mechanism. Even though we've done ascending cakes before, this time the cake had to ascend and open.
Yeah.
And we'd never done that before. So we had to sort of sit down and think about what type of rose we wanted to bloom.
Right.
Because there are over 300 varieties of roses. So I decided to do my signature rose, which is called a Whimsical rose.
Okay.
And so that rose has very big petals. So I sat down with the engineer, and then I sketched it out. I did a sugar rose for him to see. And then he went back. He still couldn't figure it out. So then we decided to create 2 mechanical layers and then keep the bud, which is the center.
Okay.
Still, so that the cake could hide inside. But like all those technical elements took over a month, because we do it doesn't work well, or we use a material and it's not as flexible, we have to go back. And in Ghana, it's not like in the UK or anywhere, any other country in the world where you can go to like Home Depot or like B&Q and get supplies. You know, here you have to go to Mokola, you have to go to Timber Market, you have to go like literally every corner to look for stuff. And it's not something that you can easily say, oh, this is what I want, because it's not something that has ever been done before. And so you're having to look for the material that you yourself, you don't even know, but when you feel it, like you know that that's what it is. And then the other challenge that we had is, you know, it's a huge rose. The whole diameter of the rose was 20 feet.
Okay.
And so it was after we had designed the mechanism, figured everything out, that we realized that how are they going to cut the cake?
Yeah.
Because the cake stood at 5 feet. Now, the usual cake table is at 3 feet. So you need an extra 2 feet for the people to
be able to stand on and cut.
And how? So that means we have to build a stage around the rose, so that the stage is hidden when the rose is open. But then at the same time, we should be able to remove the petals so that the people can stand on the stage and cut the cake. So that took us back again, because we had to redesign the mechanism in such a way that we could remove the petals. Because a lot of people keep asking me, oh, so this big rose, how did the people cut the cake?
Yeah.
And so we had detachable petals, so we could detach the petals and actually have a walkway for the couple to walk and actually cut the cake.
Oh wow. And I've got a question. What got you into cake, like starting to, you know, make cakes? And when did you start making cakes?
I started about say 14 years ago.
Okay.
When I was in England, I was doing my master's. And I've always baked, but I had an e-commerce class, and it was actually an assignment to do a wholly online business, and I thought an online bakery would be a great side hustle. So that's literally. So once we finished the project, I submitted it. And my professor was like, you know, you could actually, like, it's actually a very viable business plan. And I said, so I thought to myself, well, I needed a side hustle.
Yes.
In uni. So I was like, okay. So I started baking, like literally for my class. And that's how, so one of my classmates, Kojo, was like, we should get a website. So we started Sweet and Tins couturecakes.co.uk. And like, that's how
everything started.
That's how it started.
And what advice would you give someone who is young that wants to get into the cake business? What do you wish someone told you before you started?
I mean, for me, it's been a natural progression. I didn't set out to be a cake maker. I always tell people that if someone had told me when I was in uni in England that I was going to become a cake maker, like, I was going to put my master's degree aside and do cakes. Like, I'd have a laugh because I'm like, no. But the progression of things, I felt like it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
It's not. It's about the art, and it's about being able to create memorable experiences for my clients. And one thing I realized is it's not for everybody. You know, some people just don't care.
That's true.
And everybody has what they want to spend money on their wedding.
Yeah.
And you can't blame them. Some people want to spend money on food because they are foodies and they love food.
Yes.
And there are some people who want to spend money on the car or on the rings or on their gown or on their hair or on their makeup. To each one their own.
Yeah.
But there are some couples who want to have the most memorable wedding cake. If that person is out there, I am the cake maker for you.
100%.
But then if it's somebody who's just like, just come and put something on the table and let's just cut it and get it, I'm not the person for you. Because there's just so much thought behind it, and it's not just something that come and put it there and come, you know. And so it's so much care and time. Something that you spend 3-4 months working on. It's not something that you just
do quickly.
Yeah.
I feel that. Oh wow, this is really good. No, this is really good. This is really, really good. Like the fact that you're making it as a black woman as well, you should be very proud of yourself.
Well, it's all by God's grace. At the end of the day, we're human beings. We have our limitations, we have our faults. I mean, if I tell you the things that I've been through since I started over the years, like I've had every possible scenario happen to me. I've had cakes fall. I've had clients who've not been happy with I've been through everything. My highs have been incredibly high and my lows have been incredibly low. But then that's what makes life worthwhile. You don't always have sunny days and clear skies. Sometimes there are storms. But then that's what makes life worth living. We can't always have
sunny days.
No.
Would you say through the storms you was able to learn new things?
I think and that's the thing. For me, I handle my successes and my failures with the same attitude of tomorrow is another day. So if you have the same attitude for success and failure, it's always a learning curve. When you win, you learn. When you lose, you learn. And you just get better and better and better. And so it's not about competing with anybody.
100%.
It's always about improving upon yourself and like pushing yourself to see, what can we do next? Because I mean, last year if someone had asked me, do you think you can do an opening rose? Nothing is impossible, but I wouldn't have thought about it. But now, I mean, so it's like for me, if it wasn't the journey of the couple and how they met and their love story, that whole idea wouldn't have come. And so that's the beauty of growth. Constantly allowing yourself to learn from every interaction with people and with clients and with fellow vendors as well. This
is beautiful.
Thank you.
I like how you mentioned consistency. You mentioned how for you it's about a journey, you know, and that you've been through the ups, you've been through the downs, but you kept going. Because not a lot of people like to talk about how they had to experience both sides before they make it.
But I think that's one of the facades of social media. We only put out what's nice. We don't put out the reality. And a lot of people are deceived into thinking that
everything's perfect.
Everything is perfect, but it isn't. I mean, I have so many people I meet and they're like, oh my God, I want to be like you. And then they come to my studio for one day price to know 1 hour. And the pressure is worse. It's worse than they could have ever imagined. But sometimes, like we're in the studio till 3-4 in the morning, finish beating a cake, and then I'm like, no, this doesn't work. And I take everything off. And we're starting over.
Wow.
But then it is what it is. It has to be done right.
So would you say for you, you have passion for it? And would you say it's the passion that keeps you going? Or would you say it's the outcome of your clients smiling, saying that they're happy with the product?
I mean, sometimes you can do your best and your clients will be happy. But like I say, at the end of the day, you can only do your best. I think it's half and half. It's about making my clients happy, but like there've been times when people have come to me to do something that I don't do.
Right.
Either on religious grounds, or as a matter of ethics.
Okay.
Like in terms of integrity. I don't do replicas of other people's work. So if you bring me a picture of another person's cake, whether the cake maker is in Ghana or elsewhere, I won't do a replica. Yeah. Because I believe that everybody has an artistic perspective. If you like my perspective as an artist, trust me to bring that to bear in my work for you. Yeah. And for you to see something that's original. Yeah. So, like I said, it's not something that is for everybody. And I think that to have longevity in whatever you do, you need to really have a sense of yourself. Yeah. A sense of purpose, a sense of how and why. Yeah.
So that spark makes sense.
To keep you holding on when
times get tough.
When times get tough and everybody's like, Charlie, let's
move on.
Let's move on. But you know why you are doing it. Yeah. You have your sort of end game in mind. So no matter the struggles you go through, you're still able to
keep going.
When
I look at the setup of the cake, very beautiful cake, but I can tell that it took a lot of space. So when it came to, setting up, how did it affect you, and did it affect other vendors as well?
It did. You see, it's a team effort. It always is. And for me, I like to work in an environment where there's sort of mutual respect and cooperation. Okay. So it's not about sweets and tins. It's about Frank and Claudia's wedding.
Yes.
So all the vendors that were on the roll for the event were all there because of Frank and Claudia. Yeah. That's we're all there to make their day special. Yeah. And cake is one side of it. But it has to be in such a way that we work together. Right. So if I need a bit of extra space on the floor plan, the person doing the event design should be willing to help.
Okay.
If where the person doing if where I've been placed on the floor plan affects the caterer, they should also be willing to play ball. Right. If the lighting person has to adjust the lighting to a point where it makes the cake look perfect. Right. Do you get what I'm saying? So there's so many different elements aside from the cake, as in the cake.
So there's a lot of details to
There are lots of details. There are lots of there's sort of a lot of variables, that's the word. These types of cakes go beyond just something on a table that they cut. Yeah. The lights dim. There's mood music. And so it gives the guests
the experience.
And there's this sort of anticipation. Like someone actually used the Endgame soundtrack as the trailer for the wedding cake. Wow. When it was coming, I was like, oh my god, like I didn't even think about it, but like that sort of anticipation. And so it works together. We all work together. Decor, food, lighting, music, DJ. Because if the DJ hasn't been cued, he's not playing the right mood music. Right. If the MC doesn't know, MC will say, come and cut the cake. Where's the knife? But if the MC knows, he can cue. Okay, it's time when the cake is about to be cut, the lights have to go down.
Yeah, it's like set the moods. Tell everyone to get prepared.
And so if you notice with this one, Mr. Waza was the MC. Yeah. When it was about time to cut the cake, he was like, You're about to experience something you have never experienced before. Wow, something beautiful is about something like that. You know, to get people like, hey, what is happening? And then people are looking around. Then the lights dim. You see, so it's like
a film. You know,
it's a production.
Yeah.
And so for these types of things, it's an experience.
Yeah.
And it takes more than just a creative cake person to do.
Yeah.
Because you need lighting, you need everybody on board and everybody committed to it coming off perfectly. And it doesn't make just me look good. It makes the whole event look good, and the bride and the groom end up being happy.
That's what's important.
And that's what's important. That's why we're there. You know, so yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's amazing. The cake is really nice.
Thank you.
Like off camera, the cake's nice. In case they think I'm getting paid, the cake is very nice. Like if you was to make a cake for me like that, I would chop my money.
Don't worry. I got
nice.
you. When it's time.
Yeah, it will take time. Don't worry.